Hi, this is Val from Scrappy Mania, and today I just want to play with my art journal. And I don't have anything in mind. The only thing I really want to do is play with some of my stamping pastels from Stampin' Up. So I want to use these chalks. I also want to use some of these paints. These are sample paints that I purchased from Ace Hardware, and they're latex paint. But the colors are pretty nice, and I want to use them. I like these for skin tones. And if you can see here on this journal, I've used these to create the skin tone for my dolls. And I also have used, here are the skin tones that I've used, the paint that I've used for skin tones for these dolls, as well as some other ones. So I really, really like these paints, these latex paint. Now they act differently than regular paint or regular acrylic paint. They're more like a plastic consistency, but they still, and it reacts with water in the sense that you can thin it out. So they're very thick. So you do put some water there, mix it with a little bit of water, make it a little thinner. But when it dries, it's permanent. So I really like these paints. So I'm going to practice with that, play with that. I got some stamps, flower stamps. I got this balloon stamp that I want to kind of play with, and some other things. So I don't really have anything in mind, so let's go ahead and get started. One of the things I want to do is I want to create like a horizon. So I'm going to find a point in this page that's going to be my center point. So this is going to be my center point. And then I'm going to create lines from that center point. Okay, and we may want to make this a little less steep here, but okay. And then I want to create lines from here to here. Okay. And then this is going to be like the horizon. So then the next thing I want to do is I want to create my buildings. So I am going to create some lines. So this is the first time I create buildings. So I saw this on YouTube in the Sakura channel, where she created a center point and then she created lines to the center point. And then she created her buildings by creating other parallel lines from the top horizontal line that she created to the bottom kind of horizontal line. Then what I did is, because I didn't like how the buildings were looking, so then I started erasing some of the lines from the top, and I created my rooftops a little flatter than what was presented in the Sakura channel. And then here I'm just creating some trees, and I'm creating my doll, and it's just a freeform doll, creating a semicircle and then building in her hair, a neck, her shoulders, and then her body. It's pretty easy to do. And then I'm just going to cut it out. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you enjoy the rest of the video, and I hope you like it. Things I've learned is that you want to use some dry glue, like a stick glue, to place your pieces onto your project if you're using watercolor paints, so that way it won't smear, because if you try to use gel medium to place this on your page, it will smear the project underneath, or the background underneath, if you have not sealed it. And in this case I have not sealed the watercolor, so that's why I use my stick glue. And then the latex paint that I'm using here, I watered it down with a little bit of water so that way it will flow better. So now I'm going to take some gesso, and I'm just going to put some gesso on her hair because I wanted to not have so much of the text show through the hair when I color it a darker shade of black. So that's why I did gesso, so that way the colors will be true against the background. I have this golden paste that dried up. It's supposed to be a gold rub, so it dried on me, but then I discovered that if you put a little bit of water, it creates like a gold paint. So I've been using that because I didn't want to throw it away. I've been using that for my art journal, and it's working out pretty nicely. And as you can see how just putting a little bit of gold streak on her hair, it made her hair look more alive, not just like blah. You know, it made it look like a little more natural look. I don't know how to describe it. It's just, it looks better with the highlights than if I would have just left it with a black and brown color. So now the dress is really easy to do. What you do is you just put a piece of paper or pattern against the doll, and then you just, you know, keep peeking underneath to make sure that when you do your lines, you are kind of lining the shoulder and lining up the underneath her armpits and her body. And that's how I did that dress. And then I took some of my watercolor pencils, as you can see there, and I created the shading around her neck area, her chin, and her arms, and then went over it with a little bit of water and my fingers, and kind of blended it in to kind of look like it's, you know, a little bit of shade. And that makes your doll looks a little more alive and less just, you know, flat on your background. So now here, I kind of made a mistake. I mean, I should have left the tree alone and not put any flowers, but I just wanted to keep playing, and I added flowers to the tree trunk, and then I added leaves. It grew on me afterwards, but when I first started doing it, I just didn't like the flowers. I mean, they were not that great, and I was trying to fix it up with other flowers, and it's just not looking nice. And sometimes in art, you stuck with what you have and just do the best you can for what you did. So now that I was committed and I made my flowers, I might as well just leave it there and, you know, be happy with it. So anything goes when you are creating in your art journal. And then what I did just now, I took some hairspray and I sprayed my my art, so that way it will fixate the watercolor and it won't smear. Hopefully it won't smear, and it doesn't actually. That new hairspray that I bought, it's a Swab brand. It works pretty nicely. I have been using that for a little bit, and my colors are not smearing with it as much as when I was using a different type of hairspray, which was I forgot which name it was. It was in the dollar bin, the hairspray that I was using before, and it wasn't working too well. Then here, see, I wanted to fix it a little bit with the hairspray, so that way I can go over my project with my gel medium, and it actually works very nice. See how it's not really smearing that much after I really soaked it with the hairspray, the Swab kind, the Swab hairspray, and I dried it thoroughly. So I hope you have enjoyed this episode of Scrapping Therapy, and try creating one of these layouts. I mean, it was very easy to do. The first time I ever do something like this, and I really enjoyed this process. So thank you for watching. So one of the things I discovered is using Indian ink with a bamboo calligraphy pen, and using that to create my outline on my art journals, because sometimes the gel gets on your nib of your markers and it destroys them if you don't clean them. And I know, I mean, I've been having some issues with that, and I've taken the advice of some of my viewers that have told me to after every time I use it, to scrape the nib against a piece of paper, so that way you clear out the medium off the paper, the paint medium, and also to use alcohol. So I've done that, but I've been finding that using this calligraphy pen with some India ink works pretty nicely, and I don't have to worry about destroying any markers. So here's the final book on this page. So here's the full brick that I created with a stamp, and you don't need to put a lot of that brick stamp on your building, just a little bit. And then I used a highlight for that. I used a Mean Streak white paint. And here's some other layouts or pages that I have created that I don't have a video. And thank you for watching. Bye now.